In Iran, the armed forces confirmed the end of Operation True Promise, carried out in response to the Israeli attacks. In Palestine, the Israeli regime committed 4 massacres in the last 24 hours, killing 43 people in Gaza. And in Niger, demonstrators took to the streets to demand the immediate withdrawal of U.S. troops. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Iranian armed forces have confirmed Operation True Promise in response to the Israeli attacks on the Iranian consulate in Syria has been completed, and it has been extremely successful. Iranian Armed Forces Chief of Staff Major General Mohammad Bagheri reiterated statements made by Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi about the operation being in defense of sovereignty and national interests, because with the attack on the Iranian consulate in Syria, Israel had crossed all of Iran's red lines, and that was unacceptable. Also, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps Commander-in-Chief Hossein Salami said that the True Promise operation was successful beyond all expectation. From our side, this operation is over, and we have no intention to continue. But if the Zionist regime takes any action against the Islamic Republic of Iran, either on our soil or in places that belong to us in Syria or elsewhere, our next operation will be much bigger. The impacts of which we have accurate and documented information on the ground show that the operation was extremely successful, beyond our expectation. Let's go over Saturday's key events as the armed forces of Iran launched hundreds of drones and missiles against occupied territories and Israeli positions. Over 500 drones were launched. In addition, Houthi forces in Yemen and Hezbollah in Lebanon launched attacks against Israeli territory. The Iranian defense team detailed that such action is in response to numerous crimes by the Zionist regime, including the assassination of Iranian military commanders and advisors. The Iranian authorities declared to the Western media that their attacks were directed exclusively against military targets of the Tel Aviv regime. Let us also review why the Israeli military base Nevatim, against which Iran focused part of its response operation, became a key target. Nevatim is Israel's most important military facility. It is positioned 100 kilometers from Iranian territory and 15 kilometers from the city of Beersheba in the Negev desert. This base houses the 103rd Squadron, as well as the 116th and 140th operational squadrons of F-35 fighters, materially responsible for the genocidal operation in Gaza, and the 117th Training Squadron that provides training to F-35 pilots. It is also the headquarters of Squadron 122, belonging to the Israeli Espionage Service, and is the hangar of presidential aircraft and headquarters of the important Zionist espionage components. Iranian citizens took to the streets of Iran to celebrate the Revolutionary Guard's response against the Israeli regime. Citizens gathered this Saturday night in different parts of Iran to show their support. The largest mobilization took place in the capital, Tehran, at the Palestinian square, where demonstrators also showed their support to the Palestinian cause and rejected the Israeli occupation. Mobilizations were held as well in front of the United Kingdom Embassy. Also in Jordan, hundreds of citizens gathered near the Israeli embassy in Amman to protest the genocide in the Gaza Strip. They demanded that official measures be taken to stop the launching of missiles, in addition to guaranteeing the entry of humanitarian aid into the territory. The Chinese government expressed concern at the scale of the armed conflict in the Middle East and called on the parties to exercise restraint to prevent further escalation. In a statement issued by the Foreign Ministry, authorities pointed out that the recent events are the latest expression of the spillover of the conflict in Gaza. They also reiterated the call on the international community to play a constructive role in maintaining regional peace and stability, reiterating the need to stop the Israeli genocide in Gaza as soon as possible. These statements come against the backdrop of Iran's promised response to Tel Aviv's attack on its consulate in Damascus. Meanwhile, Israel, Jordan, Iraq and Lebanon have reopened their airspace after 7 hours of closure. The Israeli occupier was the first one to conclude the closure of its airspace and the re-establishment of operations at Ben Gurion Airport, considered the most important airport in the country. Jordan, Lebanon and Iraq also confirmed the reactivation of airport operations. These nations closed their airspace because Iran notified well in advance about the development of the true promised military operation. It is expected that the frequency of their flights will be lower than usual, and they will even register some changes in their schedules. The Palestinian resistance movement Hamas has considered the Iranian response to the Zionist occupiers' attacks as fair and deserved. The True Promise operation carried out this Saturday against military targets of the occupier is, according to Hamas, a natural right and a deserved response to the crime against the Persian consular headquarters in Syria. In its statement, the Palestinian group called on the free peoples of the world and the forces of resistance in the region to continue their support for the Al-Aqsa flood operation. The Israeli armed forces carried out 4 massacres in the Gaza Strip, leaving 43 Palestinians killed and 62 wounded in the last 24 hours. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported the total death toll from the Israeli genocide against Gaza rose to 33,729, while more than 76,000 people have been wounded. Health authorities also detailed that several victims are still under the rubble and on the roads where civil defense teams and ambulances cannot reach them due to the Israeli siege. For its part, the Palestinian Foreign Ministry denounced the crimes committed by armed Israeli settlers against Palestinian citizens and called on the international community to reject these actions and to judge the guilty parties of these actions. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro commemorated the 22nd anniversary of the triumph of the civic military union that succeeded in rescuing President Hugo Chavez on April 13, 2002. President Maduro commemorated the Day of Dignity 22 years after the Popular Revolution of April, where the people led a popular move for the return to power of Hugo Chavez, which forever changed the history and the political future of the country. Maduro led a rally in the city of Caracas, where observing this day together with lieutenants and cadets who took part in rescuing Chavez, and also with thousands of citizens who took out to the streets to celebrate. The rally featured performances of musical groups and speeches by keynote speakers.
And they stormed the government palace. They came here, and what did they do on April 12th? Pedro Carmona Estana issued a decree dissolving all public powers. He dissolved the National Assembly elected by the people. He dissolved the entire Supreme Court of Justice. He dissolved the prosecutor's office, the ombudsman's office. He dismissed all governors in the country, all mayors, all the public powers, legitimate, constitutional, and took over all branches of power, as if he was instituting a monarchy in the country. That was on April 12th.
President Nicolás Maduro assured that the presidential share does not belong to the oligarchs nor to their relatives, but to the Venezuelan people, to the common people.
Who would have thought that a worker would sit on that chair? Oh oligarchy, oligarchy, that chair does not belong to you, that chair belongs to the people, so don't get dressed, you're not going. It is. Oligarchs, family names and oligarchs, don't dress up, don't dress up, don't. That chair is. It belongs to the common people, it's worth the comment because we are talking about history.
Also, President Maduro talked about the capture of 2 men linked to the terrorist groups involved in assassination attempts against him.
This is an ongoing case, because they are plotting something against me, you should know I have information. At Diego Ibarra Square we captured 2 men, sent by a terrorist group, they both have been indicted and they have confessed, they've confessed everything, who gave them the money, who gave them the training, who gave them the 9mm. And what they has been ordered to do 20 meters away from me, they have confessed. In Maturin 15 days before, they also tried to do something against me, they have been captured, indicted and they have confessed. I entrust myself to Almighty God, I entrust myself to Christ the Redeemer, Jesus of Nazareth, and I entrust myself to you, men and women, so that we may preserve peace, that we may be safe, and I entrust my life to you, but I will continue in the streets with you, every day.
Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro also emphasized the people's will to defend the ideals of the Bolivarian Revolution despite attempts to stop it.
We want peace, I want peace, and we will have peace. But if they make a mistake, we will meet them again, and again we will win. Again we will succeed, through the path of truth, of the Constitution and of the Bolivarian Revolution forever.
In Argentina, the latest studies that measure poverty indicate almost 60% of citizens are below the poverty line, a problem that has worsened with the policies implemented by President Javier Milei. Correspondent Santiago Rey went to a soup kitchen to talk to those who suffer from this problem, but also to show us those people who give their best from the soup kitchens. Let's see.
The situation of poverty in working-class neighborhoods is on the rise, and in the absence of government aid, social organizations are taking action and seeking solutions.
La Poderosa tiene un montón de espacios comunitarios donde...
La Poderosa has a lot of community centers that have dining rooms, soup kitchens, public high school, soccer centers, women's and dissident centers, which is the fundamental thing we need in the different neighborhoods. And we also have the nodo space, where all the children go to receive their school aid. At this moment, the biggest problem we are experiencing in Argentina is the food problem, and is a problem we have been fighting for a long time. But it has depended even more in this time, in this new change of government, where it stopped being visible and it stopped being important. It is really an emergency because the government does not want to take it as such. But we know that the priority and the most important thing today is the food emergency we are experiencing in Argentina.
In order for this situation to be addressed as a priority, during 2023, they presented a bill to recognize women working in the territories.
Y ahora, este año...
And now, this year, we did not go out to complain about why the project was not approved. We went out to demand that at least the merchandise be sent to our community kitchens, to see that the kitchens exist, the kitchens are real, here in all the neighborhoods, that the need of the hungry is here, that we as cooks, workers of the community spaces exist, and that we have been working a lot of hours.
A clear example of this commitment is Nelly Vargas, who for 33 years at the head of the Evita dining room has been receiving dozens of people in need of a plate of food.
I dedicate myself to this, to organize food, to get up every day or to think at night about what I'm going to do the next day. So much so that sometimes I dream about what to cook and what to do. My dreams are in this place because I'm the one who decides the dishes. I'm like a mom who gets up, I see what's there, what I have to cook, I improvise. We are working badly because we are working with the products that they give us for tomorrow, and I made it today with a lot of difficulties.
Despite everything, she and her colleagues continue to forge ahead with the utmost determination.
Nothing is going to bring us down, because we are here with all our strength and all our will, knowing that we have to continue for those who need us. We are not going to give up, and what I tell you is what I feel, because I don't read speeches about anything. It comes from my heart because the beginning is suffering as a child, the need, not having a plate of food like the one I wanted. This is what makes this my thing. I wouldn't change it for anything. It is difficult to make ends meet, but we are still here.
This is the same scenario in each of the 44,000 soup kitchens that do not receive the necessary government support and are a postcard of the difficult situation throughout the country.
Santiago Corey, teleSUR, Argentina.
We have a fun short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Fun short break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Niger, hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets to demand that the junta government immediately expel U.S. troops from the territory. Nigerians demand that the U.S. brigades leave immediately, as it happened with the French soldiers. Demonstrators reiterated that the age of empires and colonies had come to an end. Niger had signed an agreement that allowed the presence of 1,000 Pentagon troops. The junta government terminated the agreement, opting for a military exchange with Russia. In the United Kingdom, the Labour Party is backing the government in its intention to increase military spending in detriment of other public services. Labour Party leader Keir Starmer is facing negative comments for having suggested increasing military spending by up to 2.5% of the nation's gross domestic product. His proposal is in tune with the Conservative Party's stance to raise the defense budget to the equivalent of $13.5 billion. This coincides with the announcements made by several European leaders that point to the militarization of the continent and the possibility of a conventional war in the making. On Saturday, Russia's defense ministry reported the surrender of at least 9 Ukrainian soldiers in the Donbas region. The Russian Ministry of Defense indicated the captured Ukrainian soldiers said that their commanders never showed up at their military posts and that the missions were ordered remotely by radio communication. The soldiers said that they were sent to that territory to expose themselves despite colossal losses. In addition, they revealed that there is poor battle planning, poor training of commanders, huge losses of men and equipment, as well as panic in the units. A new attack on the Zaporizhzhia region by the Ukrainian army has left at least 8 people dead and dozens wounded. On Saturday, local authorities reported that the Ukrainian army attacked the Tokmak residential district. Among the fatalities, there were 2 children, and at least another 13 people were wounded. Authorities say that the wounded and their families will receive help, but that the threat of new Ukrainian attacks remains. They also say that as a result of the attacks, at least 25 houses and 9 buildings in the area no longer have gas supply. Also in Russia, several people were injured following a Ukrainian attack with Storm Shadow cruise missiles on a machine factory in the city of Lugansk. According to local authorities, the attack also hit residential areas near the factory. They say the exact number of victims and the severity of their injuries is unknown. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.